Hey everyone, it's Chuck Johnson. It is 4 a.m. on Thursday, the um, 21st of April. Uh, I've been thinking a lot over the last 24 hours about Facebook and about my relationship to it. What does it all mean? What does it mean for the future? And I've got to tell you, I'm thinking of making a big decision about my relationship with Facebook. Um, as you may know, I have been banned from Facebook uh, 3 times now. The first time was when I made the following joke in the multicultural melting pot. Muslims are that explosive new ingredient that packs a kick. Or something to that effect. And that led me to be banned for 7 days. Uh, the other time I was banned and had my entire gotnews.com account deleted by Facebook's management was when I published that the head of refugee policy in the State Department was on the Ashley Madison database, which I think is a relevant thing to know given that he might be able to be extorted. So, anyways, I had my entire account, the 5,000 plus likes that I had built up, deleted, gone like that. And now I have been in the Facebook gulag for the last 30 days for saying that my foreign policy is kill the savages, um, kill the savages, keep the Constitution, deport the Muslims, something to that effect. Or keep out the Muslims. Keep out the Muslims. It was the 3 Ks. And so anyway, so I did the things and I was banned for a month. That's why you haven't seen me on Facebook. And I used to post on Facebook fairly regularly, but I think there's kind of something wrong about participating in your own slavery. And I just won't do it anymore. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg's come out, said some anti-Trump things. He's going well out of his way to change the demographic composition of the United States of America. And I just don't. I've studied Facebook a lot, thought a lot about it. Have respected Zuckerberg as a businessman for many years, but I'm just done with it. I don't think it. I don't want to be able to tell. How do I put this? I don't want to. I don't want to participate in a situation where I'm a slave, and I'm going to have to build my own institutions, and that's what WeSearcher is about. That's what Got News is about. These YouTube podcasts are somewhat freer, but I suspect at some point these are going to be banned as well, and so I'll have to host them on my own site. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is why do we put up with this stuff? I mean, if you read about the history of each of these social networks, they always promise one thing and then wind up delivering another, just like all fraud. Like colleges, colleges promise free speech and then they end up with censorship and hate speech mobs and all the rest of it. The social media companies are much the same way. Reddit promises free speech and yet will delete your posts if they don't like the link that you have. They'll automatically delete it. Twitter promises free speech, promises to be a free speech wing of the free speech party, as Dick Costolo put it. And yet, of course, they're shadow banning and deleting accounts of white males and conservatives. And Facebook started out as this idea. It was kind of a revolutionary idea in a sense that you could put online all of these interactions among high status members of the sort of cathedral of the education elite. It's interesting that Facebook sort of started as a gated kind of thing, something that you could only join if you got invited. It was a Ivy League only thing, and then it expanded from there. And it was more or less designed to represent power. And now that it's expanding across the world, it's trying to democratize itself by basically being accessible to all people at all times. But it's coming up against human nature and how humans don't like each other. And I'm sure we've all had this experience of being on Facebook and seeing wow, my friends are real assholes. Or wow, my cousin's a slut, or so on and so forth. And I think this is because our nature as humans are tribal, and so we started off in kind of defining our own tribes, but then we got like 2,000 follow friends or 5,000 friends or whatever. And I just don't think that this is a really smart thing long term. I don't think we should have this many people in our lives. I think we should have closer relationships, that we should have hidden networks. I mean, how much of a good idea is it to have every person I've ever met in a database where people can go and see and analyze it? This doesn't sound very freeing. And the more these companies behave in a more, shall we say, fascistic way, or censoring way, the less I sort of want to participate. I don't want them to know about my relationships. I don't want them to, I want hidden networks. I want private networks. And so I don't want to participate anymore. And yet, in a certain sense, I feel like I have to participate in order to like have a public presence and have a public say in things. So I think I'll participate in the most minimal way possible to keep that up and going, and to build relationships with my fans. But if you want to find me, if you want to get to me, email me, editor@gotnews.com, and I will train you to be a very great researcher. I'll train you to be an informed consumer of the media, an informed consumer of information. I'll teach you how to go and get that news, that Got News. And you can join me, and we will together make the internet a better place, a more free place. And in turn, I hope that the internet, the effects of that will spill out into the real world. And then also, I was thinking also recently about like how Facebook works, how Facebook is essentially about absenting yourself from the real world, about how it's about editing the vision of yourself that you present. If I knew my friends only through Facebook, I'd think they're all on vacation, or they just got a job, or somebody just got pregnant, or somebody died, or what have you. And that's just not real life. It's just not interesting. I mean, the weak tie phenomenon that's talked about, in the Facebook effect, it's sort of true, but there are lots of ways to kind of build relationships with people. So I think, I see lots of people are not sharing as much on Facebook, and they're trying to figure out why that is, and they want to give you a whole range of emotions that you can exhibit, anger or like or what have you. And I just, it's all going to be data mined. It's all going to be used to basically enslave us. And yet we participate. Are we fools? Like, are we? I don't know. I don't know. And then, of course, we can't have walls, and yet Mark Zuckerberg builds walls among his Palo Alto mansion. We can't have a wall protecting our country. We have to, and it's like, why? Why do we believe this shit? Why do we always pick why do we do this as a society? And of course, Zuckerberg's invested all this money in artificial intelligence, not artificial intelligence. He's invested all this money in virtual reality, which is about us exiting and becoming a part of his own plantation, basically a mental plantation where we just, all of our senses are turned over to somebody who doesn't have our best interests at heart. And of course, other people have pointed out, assassinate Donald Trump, no problem. You can have that Facebook group. Not of it, but if you make a joke about Muslims, you're gone. And it's like, why do we do this? Like, why is this interesting to us? And of course, the lobbyists that Facebook hires, Katie Harbath is a great example. Katie Harbath, is a Bush lackey. So this is like a new world order kind of thing. And I don't want to sound like conspiratorial or crazy, but it seems to me like there actually really is a conspiracy going on. I mean, you look at all the progressive, crazy things, like you log into Facebook, you look over the corner, and it's just, I just go back and I look at this. I look at like the way it forces me, if I want to reach my fans, to pay money to do that. I look at the way in which I can spend all this money, but they'll delete my account for no fucking reason. And I go and I look at like all of the news stories that are there, and they're all hyper progressive news stories. And it's like, I don't want to be a slave. I'm tired of being a slave. And so this is not interesting to me anymore. And of course, you get all kinds of spam, all kinds of like, join this, join that, whatever. And so here I am like looking at the trending stories. And of course it's all bullshit. It's all about trying to market something to me. I've got Blade Runner 2. There's a sequel to the science fiction movie. And of course, like, I've got to go and watch that movie, which of course is not going to be as good as the original because the original was about something real, about what it meant to be human. And the new version is going to suck. Game of Thrones, which is of course like the show that we can all talk about and watch and appreciate, the whites all fighting amongst each other for the kingdom. But it's not really clear who should really rule. Doctors Without Borders group says more HIV treatment needed in West and Central Africa. Again, like, why do I care? It's not really interesting. Maury, Maury shows a photo, shows a female talk show guest who appears to resemble Ted Cruz. Note how it's like anti-Ted Cruz, right? They're making fun of Cruz, a candidate for president, which they would never do for anything that's anti-Hillary Clinton. Apple's releasing a new generation, of its tech. Again, it's all about trying to get you to participate more and more and more. Emilia Clarke, another thing, another tie-in with Game of Thrones. Justin Bieber, it's just bullshit. It's just fake. And we got another one. Napa Valley Wine Train, group of black women removed from train settle discrimination lawsuit. It's like, why do we put up with this shit? It's just boring. And you can go and see like, there's all kinds of stuff on, Susan B. Anthony and Ben Carson, and it's just like, it's fucking boring. I think that's the real complaint I have, is that almost all this progressive shit is just fucking boring. And I was watching Alex Jones the other day, and I gotta say, like, I've changed my mind a lot this election. I've changed my mind a lot about Alex Jones, and I've changed my mind about people who are really building their own platforms independent of other people. And there's something to really just admire about that. Something to really like find interesting and find sympathetic about somebody like that. Well, anyways, I was watching his interview with the guy from Smashing Pumpkins. It's like Billy Corgan, something like that. I don't think I've ever heard the Smashing Pumpkins. I'm not one of those guys, right? I'm not one of those people who's like super obsessed with these kind of things. And anyways, Billy Corgan's the guy's name, is going through talking about how he saw Michelle Fields at his concert with her boyfriend and how she's sort of a pawn of a bunch of people. He also explains why he left Twitter and how he essentially became a slave while he was at Twitter, and how Twitter was basically using his power to promote things. And it's interesting, like, I'm just not going to do this anymore. I'm no longer going to participate in my own enslavement. And I suspect that there'll be people, and I'll probably go and have to sue Twitter. I'll probably have to fight in a meaningful sense against these things. And I just so don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to fight it. I just know. But I know I probably have to. It's my sister is graduating from college, which is a big deal. I'm going to be going there. She's graduating from college in Massachusetts. And my sister, has been doxxed and persecuted, essentially just for being my sister. And lots of photos and things, people harassing her. A lot of basically left-wing trolls threatening to harm her. And really just kind of disgusting, degenerate stuff. The usual shit. And I mean, I love my sister. She and I are very close. Probably not as close as we should be, but in any event, love my sister. And she, where to begin? My sister is going to be graduating from college, and the guy who's coming to speak is Wayne Chang. Now, I don't know if you know who Wayne Chang is, but Wayne Chang was an inventor, investor, entrepreneur, and he worked for Napster. He worked for he's been working for all these technology companies for a while, and he sold his company to Twitter. He's a Twitter executive now. He's involved in Twitter in some capacity, and he's a serial entrepreneur. He's got all these photos of himself with Jack Dorsey, and it's like this is who we're dealing with, right? This is, how would I put this? This is the guy who is being sold to my sister as a vision of adulthood. And I'm, of course, going to have to sit and listen to this asshole. Maybe I'll learn something. Maybe I'll learn about just how fucked the internet, world actually is. But it's like you see these sleek websites, these sleek presentations of everything, and it's just like, it's all fake. It's all unreal. Yeah, here we are. Here we are once again. He's been involved. It's just like this guy's been involved in Dropbox, which is essentially a fake company. He's been involved in Napster, which was designed to basically steal music. Not that I mind, given how progressive the music industry is, but like these are all fake. It's all fake. And yet here we are. So, in any event, it's just kind of strange, this world we're in. This world of power players and of, control, basically. It's all about control. And I just don't know. I don't know anymore, like, how to fight this. And so I've been thinking a lot about it, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to fight it. And it's frustrating, to put it mildly. But what can you do? You can only move forward. So, alrighty. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening. Sorry, this is kind of a rambling kind of one, but I think I'm gonna have to sue Twitter. I think I'm just gonna have to fucking bite the bullet and do it. But I guess you have to do what you have to do. So here we go. Wish me luck.